Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry. And back again doing another lineup review, which is actually going to be a review of my lineups that I actually made on Fantasy Labs. I made 150 lineups overall, 130 of which I made on Fantasy Labs via the My Lineups page and lineup generator on Fantasy Labs. So, going to review that. Hope you guys enjoyed the Open as much as I did. I was actually out in Las Vegas on Thursday, made all my golf teams, and then flew out there for a variety of things. But certainly it was fun to be able to watch the British Open from like 11 Pacific until the wee hours of the morning. So got on a weird sleep schedule, which is why this came out so late. But had a lot of fun watching the tournament. Definitely great to see Stenson and Mickelson duel it out. And really feel like we did probably the best job we've done at Fantasy Labs with our content last week. The model preview that I did had Stenson as by far and away the best value, most highest rated player. We talked about him and a variety of other guys on the live show and the podcast. Then the thing that I went all in on was the weather angle, which we talked about in the live podcast. Basically, or the live show, I'm sorry. But basically going after golfers who were teeing off on Friday morning, which is basically meaning taking Thursday afternoon, Friday morning guys, and really going all in on that. And it ended up working out that the guys who were late, who were afternoon on Thursday, morning Friday guys, scored 2.77 better than the other guys on the other side of the draw. So it was a huge weather angle. The guys who did well, most of them got the good side of the draw. And it was a really fun tournament to watch. And congrats to Henrik Stenson. And also big congrats to Phil Mickelson, who would have won almost any other time given that scenario. So let's take a look here. This is 130 lineups that I made. Again, I made 20 of them manually on DraftKings, but I made 130 on Fantasy Labs using the My Lineups tool. And this is the breakdown of my percentages. So I had Henrik Stenson the most, Dustin Johnson, Sergio Molinari, Keimer, Schwartzel, Scott, Kuchar, and all those guys were early Friday guys, and I was really trying to take advantage of that. So I liked all those plays. On Friday, I was in 4th and 6th and the Millionaire Maker, and had a bunch of teams in the top 100 and top couple hundred. Was really setting up for a great weekend, and then my guys kind of fizzled out on the weekend, especially Molinari really hurt me. Then the fact that Bubba made the cut and just went off on the weekend hurt quite a bit. But all these guys here were pretty much early tee times, and all of these guys made the cut. So really feel good about that angle, and feel pretty cool about how I made the teams. What I do on Fantasy Labs when I'm making a bunch of teams is I normally make 4 or 5 batches of lineups where I take a really small core and make a variety of lineups, whether it's 25 or 50 or 10. And I just kind of create lineups for the My Lineups page. And I ended up making exactly 130. I actually made a couple more and subtracted them to go in with my 20 manually made teams. And from there, I had 150 teams on DraftKings, and I could enter the Millionaire Maker and all the $3 and lower stakes tournaments with one click, including the qualifiers. So that's the way I went about it. I think it's a really cool tool, and I felt really confident making the lineups. I feel like I have a good process. I feel good about all the exposures I have, with the exception of only taking JB Holmes at 5%, who Colin Davey liked a lot, obviously our director here of the PGA product at Fantasy Labs. And he's been right on a lot of his horses all year, and that was the guy to take. There were a couple guys that I took that didn't have great tee times. I took Shinkwin, who was just dirt cheap to fit in some other guys to fit in double stud lineups. I still took Rory because I really liked him a lot. Thought he was one of the best options, and if the weather didn't work out exactly, he was one guy I was planning to take, even with the bad tee times. But pretty much everyone else, guys like Finau, Streb, Haas, those were all just weather plays, and it worked out well. Kevin Na, I wish I had a little bit more of as well. He had great tee time. I did play him on a Thunderdome team. So as you see here, I had Jason Day 1%. Wish I would have just faded him. Wish I didn't include him, Lee, Noren, Lahiri was a weather play, but wish I wouldn't have included these guys at 4 and 5%. I ended up using 49 golfers, and I wish I would have used a few less. And I think that's one thing I'm really going to focus on for the last major of the PGA Championship, is really just narrowing down a smaller core, maybe 35 to 40 players, and just going as heavy as I can on them. So This is a little different. Hope you guys find this interesting. I think it was cool to see these guys break down here the teams that did the best. And man, it was looking so good. The winnings, currently winning on Friday, was a lot bigger than the currently winning on Sunday. I thought I had a chance to win $1 million. I thought I was going to have a six-figure weekend for sure, and just fell short of that. So some good teams here, as you can tell. Had a lot of teams that did well overall. But just not enough good combos. And I think the key was just not having enough JB Holmes. So hope this helps you guys. I really think this is a great tool. It's fun to fire in a lot of lineups, especially in these PGA tournaments. The nice thing is you can take advantage of these tools regardless of kind of your bankroll. There's really cheap tournaments out there that you can throw a bunch of teams in, and it's fun, especially when you see your exposures here. So the Open was great. Congrats to everyone who did well. I want to give a big congrats to Mazara, who just cleaned up on the Millionaire Maker, took first, third, fifth, or first, third, fourth. Just absolutely dominated, and hope that you guys had a great weekend. I really think we nailed the picks, and of course, looking forward to seeing more Fantasy Lab subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.